Should you pull for Relm and Yuna? Let's start off with Relm's roles. It is Sketch Warp, Support, Battery, Magic, Attacker. Her attacks: Sketch Summon, her skill 1, will deal 6 split HP attacks, granting 60% of the max Brave up to 10 turns, and granting 40% speed up for 8 turns. Sketch, her skill 2, deals 9 HP attacks with 150% splash, inflicting Sketch for 2 turns, and it will upgrade to Plus after 1 use. The Plus version will inflict Blind for 1 turn onto the target, and if Relm's next turn is after the target, she will move it to right before. Star Prism, her EX, deals 8 AoE HP attacks, increasing her Brave by 50% of the HP damage dealt, and inflicting Group Sketch for 2 turns. Ulti Sketch, her LD, increases her Brave by 50% of the own max Brave first, and it will deal 7 split HP attacks, inflicting Group Sketch for 2 turns. Tentacle will grant the party Brave by 50% of Relm's own max Brave, and then it will deal 7 split HP attacks, increasing her Brave by 50% of the HP damage dealt, extending any active buffs by 1 turn, and filling her EX gauge by 20%. Portrait Mirage Attack, her FR, will inflict onto everyone Sketch for 2 turns. Promised Painting, her BT, lasts for 6 turns, giving a party HP cap up of 30% and also an HP cap up of 20% for herself and all allies to her left. For herself and the allies to the right, when enemies with the Sketch debuff move, she will not only warp herself but all of her right allies with her. And the last effect of her BT effect is that her Sketch turns will not decrease when her turns are warped. Relm's buffs and debuffs, there's only one real debuff to note. It's Sketch. Whenever the enemy acts with this debuff on, it will grant Relm a free turn afterwards. But again, with her BT effect, she not only does this for herself, but all enemies to the right. Relm's force conditions, you're getting a 40% when you're using a magic ability and a 40% when attacking an enemy inflicted with the Sketch debuff. Is Relm's BT necessary? If you really want to get her, if you want to use her, you need that BT. BT allows her to give her good HP cap ups, but also allow the party to be turn warped and also be granted free skills each time. Her own damage is not nearly enough to warrant being the only one moving after Sketch. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to Yuna. Her roles are a support, battery, healer, cleanser, and magic attacker. Attacks, or skills in this case because they don't all attack. Isuna, her skill 1 is an instant turn rate move. I mean, it's technically not instant turn rate, it's -4, but trust me, from all the times I've used it, it's been instant turn rate, so I'm just putting instant turn rate. This move will also FR charge, cleanse all party debuffs, and grant party Brave by 150% of Yuna's initial Brave. Cheer, her skill 2, is another instant turn rate move, basically, that FR charges, granting the party Brave by 100% of Yuna's attack and 50% of her current Brave, healing the party by 60% of the max HP, and granting 2 buffs. For herself, she will grant Faith's Refuge for 12 turns, and for the entire party, she will give Spyra's Blessing for 12 turns. Grand Summon, her EX, it has another name, but the attack does the same thing. The move will deal 9 HP attacks with 350% splash, granting allies Brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt, and will grant 2 buffs. It will grant Valefor's Favor for 8 turns and Valefor for 8 turns. Energy Nova, her LD, grants the party Brave by 150% of her own attack and will deal 7 AoE HP attacks, cleansing all party debuffs, granting Valefor for 8 turns and granting another buff of hers, I Can Fly, for 12 turns. Both her Brave command and her HP command upgrade to usable attacks. We're gonna start with her Brave command, Sonic Wings ++. It will first increase her Brave by 500% of her own initial Brave, and then it will deal 10 HP attacks, granting the party Brave by 30% of the HP damage dealt and failing her EX by 20%. Energy Ray, her HP command, will grant the party Brave by 150% of Yuna's own attack, and then it will deal 6 split HP attacks, filling her EX gauge by 20%. Banishing Stroke, her FR, will cleanse all party debuffs, and while it is active, gives the entire party debuff evasion rate up by 100%. And during this force time, while the party has no debuffs, they're going to be getting a party HP cap up of 50%. The Sending, her BT. I don't normally mention the damage with BT finishers, but this one is very special. Her BT will deal 7 split HP attacks, each HP dump getting an HP cap up of 400%. Again, why am I mentioning this attack? It's because it's one of the strongest BT finishers in the game. The effect will last 8 turns, and while the party has no debuffs, everyone's going to be getting a party HP cap up of 20%. After every single party attack, they will be getting Brave by 20% of the HP damage damage dealt. Yuna's buffs and debuffs. Faith's Refuge will give Yuna an initial brave up by 40%. Spire's Blessing will give her brave regen by 20% of the initial brave, as well as a max brave up by 10%. Valefor's Favor will grant max brave up by 60%, party HP regen by 5% of the max HP, and party brave regen by 60% of the initial brave. Valefor, her Overhead, will give a max brave up of 10%, another party brave regen by 60% of the initial brave, and this is the buff that will upgrade both of her brave and HP commands. I Can Fly will grant a party max brave up by 20%, while the party has no debuffs on them, will give them an extra max brave up by 20%. Yuna's Force Conditions. Get ready for this one. The first condition will give a whopping 70% when the person acting does not have any debuffs. Please ignore that I just voice cracked. The second condition will give a 40% whenever anyone is using a brave or HP command. Is Yuna's BT necessary? Well, without it, you're going to be missing out on her ridiculously strong BT finisher, as well as the rest of her auras and extra cap ups from the BT. But apart from that, the FR charging is the exact same, and all of her attacks still work great. That minus 20% HP cap up isn't the worst thing in the world in exchange for saving very, very valuable BT materials. Better to save resources that you don't even know if you're going to use them a lot. Now that we've got both biographies out of the way, let's get to the should you pulls. We're going to go with Relm first. Should you pull for Relm? No. End of story. I'm just kidding. Let me get deeper into why. Let's start off with her pros. I like the fact that her BT, even though it's 6 turns, it actually isn't that short because, again, sketch turns will not decrease the BT. And also, because of the sketch debuff and because of how her BT works, enemies can no longer turn hog with her. You know, the enemy trying to be cute, want to deal, 5 attacks consecutive back-to-back. That's not going to happen with Relm. She's going to be bringing her and the allies to her right in front after every single enemy attack. And lastly, with Relm's magic FR, if you're running a magic team, it is a very easy FR to fulfill. Multiple of her skills give out that sketch debuff, and also remember that her sketch turns will grant her free skill use. So theoretically, you could be inflicting the sketch debuff an infinite amount of times. Now with the cons, yes, I know there are a lot of them. The biggest problem I see is allies cannot have both HP cap ups and warp. You gotta choose between one or the other. I don't like that they did this. I think it would have been much better personally to either give her full party warp, full HP cap ups, or just both of them at the same time. I don't like them trying to find a gray line with this. It doesn't really work. Relm herself doesn't really give that much defense for enemy attacks. I mean, yes, sketch gives that 20% down attack, but when has that ever mattered, really? If enemy attacks are meant to kill you, they more often than not actually kill you. I don't think that a measly 20% attack down is gonna really do anything about that. Moving back to the party warping, it isn't that efficient. A lot of the time, you don't want all of your party members to be taking the exact same amount of turns. There's gonna be some units in your party that you really don't want to move that much, especially linked attackers, off-turn damagers, support units. You could pick and choose who you want to party warp in your team, putting Relm in the middle and maybe a DPS unit on the side for the party warping so they attack more. Only problem with that is they're not going to be getting the extra 20% HP cap up. Again, I don't know why they separated. They should have just given her both or one of them completely. The DPS unit will, yes, be moving a lot more, but they're not going to be dealing as much damage. However, if you do give them the cap up, they're not going to be getting turn warp that much. The issue with Relm is you're having a setback whichever effect you choose. It doesn't help either that Relm's on-turn damage is really not that good. I'm currently working on a damage calculation video for global units. I calculated Relm's and I gotta say, she is not very good. You can assume where she lands in the rankings. Just given that there are a number of problems with her kit and also at how stacked this month is of good units, Relm is really sitting at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to pull value. That being said, if you like her, if you love Final Fantasy, where is she from? Final Fantasy 6, right? If you love Final Fantasy 6 and she's an absolute favorite, go ahead, pull, build green, blue armor, ultimate weapon, do all of that. Have your fun. But if we're talking from a meta standpoint, yeah, you're better off saving your resources. Now let's move on to Yuna. Should you pull for Yuna? First things first, if you like specializing in HP and Brave Command teams, like if you use Renoa a lot, if you use Queen a lot, if you like, I was gonna say Machina, but you know. if you like using Locke, and Jessie's coming up. She's gonna be good. If you like using units like that, Yuna's gonna fit like a glove for you. The biggest selling point of Yuna's entire kit is that FR. It's very strong, especially for HP command teams. Even if you can't always fulfill that HP Brave Command condition from the force conditions, that first condition is still very sizable. You know, a 70% from just not being debuffed, that's very easy to do. And also 70%, that's most people's entire force weapons. So plus 70% with an occasional 110% if you use HP and Brave commands, it's really good. I absolutely think it's viable to be your main. And that first condition, by the way, not being debuffed, is basically a gimme. She has loads of options to cleanse your party, and even while her FR is active, everyone has complete debuff evasion. It's almost impossible to not get those numbers. And outside of force time, Yuna has a lot of uses for charging. Yuna is an amazing force level 50 charger, and if you get the right artifacts, the ones that give her 3 extra skill uses in total, that's around 16 uses of force 50 charging. You're going to be charging easily 1, 2, 3, maybe even 4 full force times with your other party members barely even moving. And lastly, this is just a fun little thing I wanted to throw in. Again, she has one of the strongest BT finishers in the game. It's a very strong attack, and if you're at the 999%, which is very easy to do with Yuna's FR, by the way, yeah, that BT finisher going to be cooking enemies alive. Now the cons with Yuna. As much as I like her BT finisher, the effect on the other hand is not the best, I gotta say. Party HP cap up of 20%, even a 30% nowadays is kind of low in my opinion. There are definitely better BT effects out there. And also with her own damage outside of that BT finisher, her other skill damage isn't that high. Almost all of her total damage is very heavily carried by that BT finisher. Apart from that, she's not that good. Those are my pull plans. I'm personally going to be skipping Relm, and since I already have Yuna's entire kit, I'm just going to give her FR boards. Let me know what you guys are planning to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!